there, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna Sophia if you're new here, and I post home decor and DIY content every single Sunday, and this Sunday is no exception. I really wanted to share with you guys some really simple Dollar Tree DIYs that you can do that look so beautiful and so high-end, and you would never, ever, ever guess that they came out of using Dollar Tree materials. For the first DIY, we are going to be making some leather and rope canisters. So the first thing that you're going to need is obviously some sort of a canister from the Dollar Tree. I ended up picking up 3 of these cardboard ones in the craft section, and then one of the red ones that I don't end up actually using. You can find those in the party section. I didn't like the way the lid was shaped, so that's why I didn't end up using it. But in order to get a kind of tiered effect, I ended up just stacking the cardboard ones, and it looks so good in the end. So with the 3 canisters, I basically just left one off by itself, didn't touch it, didn't have to manipulate it or anything like that. And then I took the other 2 and then connected the bottoms using my hot glue gun. And then I just had an extra lid. So my inspiration for this project actually came from something that I had purchased off Amazon. It's these beautiful rope and leather handle baskets that you can use for bathroom storage, and they're so effective. But I wanted ones that were a little bit smaller of a scale so I could put like Q-tips and cotton balls and use it for my guest bath. So the first thing I needed to do was I just used some white acrylic paint. I have the one from Apple Barrel, but they do sell white acrylic paint at the Dollar Tree. And then I'm using a foam brush as my applicator. And after the lid and the base had all dried, I needed to mark where the lid actually met the bottom of our little canister. So then that way I wouldn't continue the macrame cord up around, because otherwise the lid was not going to be able to close. And in order to jazz up our lid a little bit, the first thing I'm doing is I'm just measuring it across, and it is 4 inches across. So I found the center point of that, and then I'm going to make a hole using one side of my scissors, and that is what we are going to stick not only our macrame cord through, but also our little leather pull. Now I'm saying leather, but it's clearly vinyl, and actually the Dollar Tree does sell some sort of vinyl leather look-alike ribbon. So if you ever see that at your Dollar Tree, make sure you pick it up, because there's so much you can do with it. Before I glue that leather piece in, I'm starting to use some macrame cord first and just tuck that on the inside, so then that way you have a really clean finish on the lid. If you didn't want to use macrame cord, I'm using 6mm macrame cord here. I've seen people use like mops, I've seen people use dog toys, I've seen people use all kinds of stuff from the Dollar Tree to kind of get a kind of rope look. And after you were able to just kind of feed that macrame cord through, it's just time now to do our little leather handle and glue that down to the bottom of the inside of the lid. Also, I'm using my Gorilla hot glue gun. I'll make sure I link it in the description box below. But these little hot glue gun finger protectors, I'm telling you, are essential for this DIY. So if you ever see these at your Dollar Tree, make sure you pick them up as well if you are into crafting like I am. And so now that we found our center point and we've added our handle, I'm just going to take the smallest amount possible of hot glue and apply it to the top of the lid, where the next string of macrame cord is going to lie flat on top of the box. So that's why it's so important to find the center of the box, so then that way when you're wrapping everything around, everything looks really symmetrical and it will start and end at the same spot, which is really important to get a very clean finish. And because we stacked them, the bottom side is actually going to be hollow, so it's the perfect place to put your excess string, so then that way you're not like cutting it and then gluing and it like looks messy. So everything looks really clean and well finished. Obviously you're not going all the way to the top, so the lid can close, and this is how they turned out. For the second DIY project, we are going to be making a dotted edge bowl. So what you'll need from the Dollar Tree is whatever kind of like caulking or spackle that they have, and then some white acrylic paint, and then this bowl that you'll find at the Dollar Tree that has these sort of ridges. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm mixing the caulking along with some white acrylic paint and using a foam brush that I also had picked up from the Dollar Tree. Also, if you see these gloves, make sure you pick them up from the Dollar Tree too, because they're just so nice to like craft with so your hands don't get all funky. And I pretty much just did like equal parts spackle to equal parts white acrylic paint, and I applied that both to the inside of the bowl and the outside of the bowl. From like a parenting perspective, this is a really nice dupe that you can do that your kids can't break. I love the one from Studio McGee, but that would not stand a chance on a bottom bookshelf in my house with 2 kids under 2. So it's definitely nice to be able to make decor that looks similar, but it's also not fragile. The caulking gives a really like ceramic texture without it actually being ceramic, which is why I love this DIY so much. So after the paint and the caulking mixture had all dried, I'm just taking these pearls that I found at the Dollar Tree, and on each ridge at the top, I'm applying the pearl with the whole side up to each individual ridge. You can use any bowl from the Dollar Tree, but I thought this would be the easiest way to make sure that all of these pearls were going to be evenly spaced out and look really symmetrical. And after you applied all of these pearls, I just wanted to fill in those holes so they didn't look like pearls, that they looked like the beads that were on the Studio McGee version. So I'm just applying a little bit of that caulking again to each hole on the pearls. And I'm just doing so using my finger, but you can use any sort of like special tools that you might have, a knife, a spoon, whatever is gonna work to fill in those little holes. So I'm not being super perfect about this project because it's actually not like the inspiration picture if we were to do it that way. It's actually kind of like a messy sort of looking bowl. So I wanted to kind of stay true to what I was trying to replicate. And I'm again taking that same mixture that we used, the paint and the caulking, and I'm just painting roughly each single pearl as well as giving one final coat over the entire project. And for just about $4, you have a non-breakable version of the Studio McGee dupe. For the third DIY, we are going to be making some sort of like angular enamel vases. So what you'll need from the Dollar Tree is one of these tall pillar vases. I got the biggest size. They actually don't normally have this size at my Dollar Tree, so I made sure I picked up a few of these. And then one of the fish bowls, and then 1 pack of the 2 angular little bowls that you can find in the party section. So far for these 2 vases, we've only spent $3, which is actually incredible. So basically what I'm doing is I'm taking the angular pieces to the not angular pieces and hot gluing the 2 pieces to each other. So kind of like the rule of thumb that I go by in terms of what adhesive I really need to use is how often is someone going to be able to access this piece of decor, because if it's frequently, you need to make sure that you're using E6000. But if it's something that's just going to be like decor up on a shelf, no one's really going to touch it, it's more just to enjoy with the eye, then I definitely always use hot glue. So I always feel like it's easiest to paint whatever I'm painting when the whole thing is already like built, rather than doing it in sections, waiting for the paint to dry and so forth. So now that the vases are built, I really wanted to have a kind of like shiny enamel finish on these vases, like these ones that I found on, I think it was CB2. But I knew that if I painted the outside, and let's say I did like gloss Mod Podge over top of it, I knew it still wasn't going to be the same sort of sheen that I wanted. So what I decided to try, which actually worked out really, really well, is just to paint the inside of both of these vases. So just taking a foam brush, I used some black acrylic paint, and I am painting all over the inside of both sections of this vase. So I do have one little tip if you guys want to make this exact same replica. Make sure that you're flipping the vase over after you paint whatever section and that section has already dried, because I think because normally we paint the outsides of vases and air is able to get to it, but because these sections are kind of like suction cupped to whatever surface you're working on, if you don't flip it over, that paint is literally never going to dry. So I kind of had to learn that the hard way. This project took days because I didn't realize it. So make sure that as soon as the top of the inside dries, you're flipping it over so it gives you time for the bottom half to dry as well. And after doing 1 coat of paint and both sections had dried, I was able to do another coat of paint, and this is how they turned out. Thank you guys so much for for watching. If you liked today's video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and hit the subscribe button because I post home decor and DIY content every single Sunday, and I will see you guys next Sunday. Bye. And every single week.